So to start with, I think I think the discussion that you have, I think more like a continuation for the morning session. I think morning session we talk a lot about the supply chain transformation, digital transformation, and Mr. E.T. Tan talked about advanced packaging as the game changer for the industry, especially in ASEAN region. But I think in reality, there's a lot of challenges. I think I have an opportunity to participate in one of the company that define if they were to involve in a 5-year journey for advanced packaging, what should they do? So I think that this model called flywheel model. Within this flywheel model, the company looking at how they create a technical barrier and how they actually generate the customer value as they involve in this advanced packaging, and more important for their production, how they gain some of the production scaling and cost efficiency. More important, I think a lot of people are looking at AI, and most important, it's not just about AI, it's how the manufacturing transform this into a data-driven process, and then use this as a means to collaborate with your supply chain and customer ecosystem. So I think this morning I heard a very great question came out. How do I use, we are in the semiconductor industry, how can we use these resources and all the design, the know-how from this industry and share the cost to make a better product? So I think this is also a key topic raised up. And lastly, how do we actually use all the resources and the innovation, of course, all the incentive given by the government to boost the industry? So I think this is a lot of the detail. I don't think I have the opportunity to run through this detail through this strategy session. So if you need to have a copy of this material, you can always reach out to our team to get a copy of this material. But what I want to emphasize is that this advanced packaging is not really a new topic. Advanced packaging actually came up back in year 2000. I think you have some friends from Infineon here. I think Infineon is the one that first came out. And then subsequently, we have JCET, which is formerly Sachipac, that go into the very niche market. Then TSMC actually came in and tried to change the landscape and created the Apple A10 processor with this some of this integrated fan-out technology. So TSMC is the one actually made this as a lot of changes back in year 2016. And then subsequently from year 2018 until now, I think you can see that fan-out wafer level packaging is still an important technology that we use in 5G, that used in automotive. So this is really important technology we still need to keep in touch. And on top of that, I think a lot of people start to talk about 2.5 and 3D packaging. So this is really another game changers. And I think company like SK Hynix, company like Samsung that really gain a lot through this 2.5 and 3D packaging. And this 2.5D, I think, start to introduce all the silicon interposer and TSV that start to do a lot of the vertical integration. So with this, I think now we have a better performance, and then of course more cost saving as we go into this. But at the same time, for backend, I think we start to see more of the chip stacking technique that comes into place. And of course, in 2.5D, then we have the hybrid bonding. So hybrid bonding actually covers a lot of the front-end technology from wafer bonding, and then subsequently layer and layer of wafer bonding. So our team actually do a lot of the research in this area. And the more we do research, the more we learn. I think the more things that we discover and a lot more challenges that we come about. And then packaging 3D came with more micro bumps requirement. So some of the backend that do bumping, you can look into how micro bumping being done in the advanced packaging. Then if you go further, then with just now morning we talk about AMD try to break through with this chip lot and putting all the stack together. I think that's really new thinking, and that actually saves AMD a lot of cost. So that actually now introduce a new thing called die-to-die interconnect. So with die-to-die interconnect and all the processes, actually into a new breakthrough, because now I'm no longer looking at front end to give me a chips that actually run on 2 nanometer or 7 nanometer because that's very costly. Now, even a lot of the factory running at 55 nanometer or 20 nanometers, I can scale up all my processors. So that's why I think with AMD now they can use a lot of this technology to do a lot of these GPU design and all this together. So that's why we call a lot of packaging platform. They actually introduced all this together. But nevertheless, I think testing and validation. I think I have a chance during lunchtime to talk to some of the equipment maker that look into how we use some of this 3D image. They do testing and metrology. I think in morning session, we also shared some of the challenges that we use to encounter with testing and validation. So there's a lot of this hassle and bottleneck that we need to go through as we do testing in 3D packaging. Then, as we ran through a lot of the workshop with many of our customers, and also with all the user and factory, particularly in mainland China and also in Taiwan. Good that I also get to know some of the Professor Lee that actually going to share some of these processors and equipment tomorrow morning. I think we hope that you can join tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I do some advertisement for you also. So, but nevertheless, I think this is really, the process integration and optimization is a new challenge that introduced more and more complex as we go into advanced packaging. And not to mention about the quality and defect management. It's not a surprise for a new line for advanced packaging, the yield is less than 50%. So while energy, sustainability is important, but I think one of our first challenge is how to get our first product out with better yield. And of course, with the equipment that we have, I think there's higher demand now for higher precision equipment. These are the top 3, I would say, challenges that we gather. But doesn't mean that these are all. So as you get into advanced packaging, there's definitely, just this morning, I think in some of the session, we talk about all the customer and supplier ecosystem collaboration, how we do product R&D, how do we get all your supply, how we cut the silicon for all your material supply, and workforce training, skill set. I think that is also a big challenge that we foresee we will encounter in Malaysia. How do we get some of this skill set? If we were to make example, the Singapore Johor economic zone, I don't think we have all this industrial skill set available in Johor. So I think this is definitely an area that we should look into. So, but if we were to take a step further, look into the process integration and the optimization, and you go through a lot of the session, go through the process map, going through all the product making process. I think we actually broadly gather a lot of the advanced packaging issue into this area. It will be too much for me to go through each of this detail, but to actually summarize this, the left or the right side actually cover mostly related to all the material, mostly related to process complexity, and also relate to all the how we manage all these processes. I think this morning, one of the tools they talk about the thermal management. So with all the condensed chip in one single package, the heat management, the thermal management is a critical success factor for your yield. And then on the left side, I think we start to look into a lot of the integration. Integration means that how do we integrate different components together? How do we integrate different data together for traceability? And then how do we integrate all this data for better testing and also inspection? And not to mention, again, also the process expertise and tuning. How do you tune my product? How I adjust my design and recipe so as to cope up with the design specification? So this is really a lot of the process challenges that we see. In fact, this is where also, as we go into many of our engagement with many customers, it actually triggers a lot of the manufacturing foundations change that look into new idea, new thought that actually how we better manage one packaging in the production flow. So what we did is that if we look into all the different layers, I will take a 3D as an example, that we break down all the processes, different bonding, and the middle layer, of course, at the secure board layer for all the board packaging. So we actually map all this into a lot of process flow. And you realize that traditional backend assembly, we're only looking at 30, 50 process. Whereas as you get into advanced packaging, we start getting into 200 process step. We start to get into more and more complexity, more measurement that we need to introduce. So in fact, we also learned that a lot of the front end thought, especially at the wafer area, now start to bring in from front end to back end. So there's a lot of know-how to how do you manage your process flow, how you manage your BOM. Probably some of the term like equipment constraint, some of the term like queue time. I think these are the terms that not rarely heard, mostly back end, but right now for advanced packaging processing line, this is getting more common and common. So we then actually look into what kind of capability that for advanced packaging line require. So from how we build a specification model, how we manage the wafer lot. So probably this is not something we do in advanced backend, but right now you have all this new function bonding, smart bonding, hybrid bonding, and also all how we manage the TSC process, all in the backend now right now. And on the backend, I think now you start to look into how you map your strip map into your wafer map, and then trace back to your wafer. Your bin and test management become more and more challenging, which I'll cover a bit later on. And example, more of the equipment management capability and data traceability. Because last time we only trace wafer to die, but right now it's multiple die to multiple wafer, and then multiple die on multiple package again. So that introduced a newer standard called U142, which I think right now, if you check the semi-standard, we can ask for the organizer. They'll share with you more with this E142 standard. This is a standard, I think, hopefully, as more and more of our industry players start to adopt, you go back to answer the question that we asked just now, how we actually better do product traceability. Okay, so that's more on the process side and process integration. So beside this area, I think we're also looking into the quality and testing management. This issue always came about as you get into a lot of the discussion. So because of the increased complexity and failure mode, and right now the material and process will have much more variation compared to where we are. Last time when I get my product into my production floor, I can predict my end yield, I can predict my final bin, I can tell how much shipment I can get. But today, with advanced packaging, I just like putting into a black box and play whether how I'll get at the back. So with all these things now introduce more of this, how we do a better quality governance, how we actually do a lot of my so-called material review board to track all my process flow and all this. Then reliability and durability, of course, cost of effect. All these are a new topic that a lot of the quality management team need to address. Of course, advanced testing technique, we instill monitoring, and I think this morning we also talked about the AI/ML test optimization and all these things. All in all, I think we are always trying to look into how we address the product process traceability and a stability issue. And more important, we also try to introduce what we call a data-driven feedback loop into our product and process right now. So for us, I think defect management is definitely an important area. So just now in some of the KNS also presentation, I think we also heard that I think we introduced some of the image, defect image processing and classification. We're also getting the tool right now. We're using acoustic so that I can handle more defect detection. So, but right now with advanced packaging, now beside defect, now we also need to look into the test engineering. Take for example, now we have a multi-layer of bonding. So how do I bond such a way that all the good bin bond with good bin? If I have the multi-layer of bin, if I actually in between, I have the bad bin in between, the entire stack that came out will have a lower spec or even have a bad bin. So that's why I think testing engineering with a multi-stack image. So that's why in advanced packaging, you realize that there will be multiple pre and post CP test. And then you will see that as you go into different process, your behavior or your test map pattern will start to change. So that's why the test engineering and data analysis become a very challenging topic. You realize how do we actually try to detect all this defect area so that I can avoid more losses at the back. So for manufacturing or line people, you will know that the cost of production will start to increase as you go toward the back of the production. So that's why we need to detect all these defects at a much earlier stage as well. Then comes about equipment. That's also another hot topic. We always end in a lot of debate and discussion. Honestly, I also don't have all the solution because right now, for advanced packaging, we talk about sub-micron feature mixture and 3D architecture. Traditionally, with the die, you only look at 3D, 2 dimension, whereas now with advanced packaging, now it starts into multiple die and multiple 3D display on the package itself. So how the equipment handle all this position, and how do we, especially now I have a high mix production, and this high mix I also have different customer spec. So how do you mix my customer spec with my production output together? And yet I think all these shipment also meet the reliability and compliance. That's why in some of the production line they came about before the shipment. Now more and more the companies start to ask for COC. COC stands for Certificate of Compliance, that tell you what's the specification of your product as it came out from this equipment or the list of equipment that process this material. And a lot of the high precision equipment always come about in this few areas like die placement and bonding. I think we also heard some of the, I think later on NSW, we have some of this sharing session, but definitely this is definitely a very challenging area. Hybrid bonding for the wafer, lithography and patterning. This is probably a new area for back-end people, but this is something quite common in the front-end part. Then metrology inspection and all this. So many of the people start to think with this new equipment, besides struggle to improve the equipment mechanical, the link, the communications. Of course, many start to leverage on the software technology, like machine learning and all these things. Introduce a modular cluster too. I think that's a very good idea that I think I heard also in the morning session. Use it to improve my OE and all these things. Also, right now, there's also for transportation, more and more people start to look into what we call robotics use, and a new term that often used in the market called cobot. How we can use my machine and robotic work hand in hand with my machine, with my operator, with the cobot design. So what happened is that a lot of these things also introduce a lot of the automation requirements. So for Alpha-X, this is our core as well. So we actually had a lot of the real-time equipment communication with many tools. We work with many equipment maker, also with manufacturing, to actually look into how actually do real-time equipment communication with our own both standard and non-standard rival. So you realize that a lot of the equipment now used in backend doesn't mean it always section compliance. We also have a lot of the PLC, and I think for some of the equipment that we gather from a country like Japan, if we want to do a more advanced process control, that's always a challenge. So that's why I think we actually created all this real-time communication and made this as a digital twin. So today you are able to gain better insight. The production people start to see how the equipment, if let's say I have my material stuck in my equipment right now, I'm able to detect where the problem is. So we also have an automation flow right now. So it's really true. Today, if you want to do equipment automation, you no longer need to have a programming skill. You can actually configure how your equipment automation. But this is not enough. I think more and more people start to get more of the trace and sensor data. Now you build a lot of the model. So I think you see more and more of the equipment maker also build their so-called model, all their principles, control limit, and all these things into a more advanced control chart. So that with this control chart, I can detect all my failure much in advance. But is this the end of the road? Answer is no, because we start to see that right now you can manage your equipment interface right now. You can better handle your recipe and detect when your recipe parameters or equipment parameter need to be adjusted. On top of that, you can actually start to control your equipment state. If there is a problem with my equipment, do I process all my die? Do I process all my wafer? No. In fact, now even we have the so-called sound equipment that can do pilot, meaning I can send some die over to or some material over to do some testing before I can send my full part of my material. So that's more of the equipment state control. In fact, one of the challenges that we're doing right now that you can talk to the equipment and make more equipment more self-learning. So this is what we call the next vision for Alpha X that actually make self-learning equipment. So we believe that I think when machine make AI, I think they will introduce a lot of new possibility that we cannot solve today. So I think equipment fault detections, classification is not a real topic, new topic also. Then a lot of people start to ask, what is the possibility with AI? What's the possibility with all the new DeepSeek in town? What are the things that we can discover? So I summarized it into maybe four angles. A lot of the factory engineers today, I think we tend to believe or tend to, based on historical experience, to look into what are the problems we can solve and look at what are the problems that we see. So that this is a zone I think most of the engineering work are focusing right now, leveraging on what the equipment manual, the SAS log that we have captured so far, and the history record that we capture, maybe from my AD report and so on. But today, with AI, I think you go into a new dimension of how do we solve invisible problems. And then how do we actually avoid the problem? If I know that it's a problem that will come, why do I hit the problem and then tell you that this is something that needs to change or need to adjust? So for us, we are looking at how do we avoid the problem and how do we actually discover new technique or method to solve my yield, process, or defect issue. And we believe that this is a new value creation with AI. So we do create what we call industrial AI lab in Singapore right now, collaborate with some university in the US and also Singapore that actually develop all this item. As we go into this area, I think many companies will start to realize that must be a big investment. With DeepSeek comes in with the so-called large model that we have, there's going to be a lot of investment for many companies. So I think that's how Alpha X was born, because I think we carry a lot of the different thinking that we try to help the manufacturing to revolutionize in this whole industry. So a lot of the solution, the manufacturing foundation capability that we have, we actually build this as part of what we call a manufacturing system foundation. We actually work with many customers to build a lot of this capability as part of the system. That is how we know how to solve the problem. At the same time, I think just like semi-standard, just like all the industrial ISO standard, Industrial 4.0, we actually incorporate this into industry standard and also practices, so that essentially we combine all these things into industrial semantic model. So for those that are actually involved in ChatGPT, AI, everything, you realize that there's a lot of work involved in this area because everyone talks different language. So that's why we actually build all these standards together. And more important, there's so many of these AWS, Microsoft, Google. Now we also have Tencent, Ali. All these different models come about. And each time I need to pay for the token. It's going to be very difficult. But for me, I just want to use it. So that's why for Alpha X, we actually combine all this and create what we call a model as a service. And to manage how you to do the model deployment, model self-learning, pre-trained model, all these things. And essentially what we try to do is that manufacturing people are very strict people. I only want to use the tool that I want to use it in my production floor. So then we actually created what we call a chat BI. We actually, it's a business intelligence chat that actually look into how your manufacturing process flow, how I do a pass down, equipment Q&A, engineering assistant and all these things. So that consolidate into a more relevant tool that used by the manufacturing company. And what we are looking at is to work with all these companies to actually create a lot of use case to help the manufacturing. So given the time, I probably will not run through each of the use case. We are open to share of this, many of this session or with you, but we are also looking at industrial has to collaborate. So we are happy that we can actually share what is your pain point and what is the challenges that you have as you go into the advanced packaging area, and also identify area where you think there's an opportunity that can go for any new innovation. We are happy to work with you in this area, and happy to work out a roadmap and partnership together with each company to develop all this AI journey forward. So in short, I think our vision is to make manufacturing more intelligent. Okay, thank you so much.